Did you know that in the 20th century alone, wars caused more than 108 million deaths? That's a staggering number, isn't it? It's an undeniable fact that the annals of human history are drenched in bloodshed, from the brutal conquests of ancient empires to the devastating world wars of the last century. But here's something that may surprise you. Despite these grim statistics, there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that violence in general has been on a steady decline. Yes, you heard it right. The world we live in today is arguably less violent than it has ever been in human history. This may seem counterintuitive or even downright unbelievable, given the constant barrage of news about conflicts and crimes, but that's exactly what we're going to explore today. So let's dive into the book, The Better Angels of Our Nature: Why Violence Has Declined by Steven Pinker, which sheds light on this intriguing paradox. Pinker's central claim is that violence has decreased over time. Now let's dive into the heart of his thesis. The Harvard psychologist credits the decline of violence to 5 major historical forces: the state, literacy, trade, cosmopolitanism, and reason. Firstly, the state. The emergence of centralized states and judiciary systems has played a critical role in reducing violence. These institutions maintain law and order, deterring potential perpetrators with the threat of punishment. Pinker argues that the state, by monopolizing the use of force, has managed to quell our primitive and violent instincts. Next, we have literacy. As societies became literate, people began to empathize with others through reading about diverse experiences and perspectives. This empathy, according to Pinker, has been instrumental in reducing violence. We are less likely to hurt those we understand and empathize with. Then comes trade. Pinker contends that the advent of commerce turned potential enemies into business partners, fostering peace instead of conflict. When it's more profitable to trade with your neighbor than to rob him, violence becomes a less attractive option. The fourth force is cosmopolitanism. As societies became more interconnected through travel and communication, people were exposed to a variety of cultures and ideas. This exposure led to a broader understanding and acceptance of others, further reducing the likelihood of violence. Lastly, Pinker points to the power of reason. As humanity has progressed, so has our capacity to reason, to think critically, and to solve problems peacefully. The rise of reason, Pinker suggests, has allowed us to find non-violent solutions to our disputes. These 5 forces, Pinker argues, have worked in tandem to curb our violent tendencies and create a more peaceful world. But remember, these are not just idle claims. Pinker is a scientist and he doesn't expect us to take his word for it. Pinker's arguments are certainly compelling, but how does he back them up with evidence? Pinker supports his claims with a wealth of data from multiple fields. He doesn't just rely on one type of evidence, but pulls from a vast array of sources to provide a comprehensive view. First, he delves into historical texts, offering a look into the past, where violence was often a part of everyday life. From the brutalities of war to public executions, he paints a vivid picture of a world that was far more violent than the one we live in today. These texts serve as a window into the past, helping us understand the realities of the time. Next, Pinker turns to archaeological evidence. He examines skeletal remains from prehistoric times, looking for signs of violent death. The bones do not lie. They tell a story of a time when life was brutal and short, and violence was a common cause of death. This evidence provides a stark contrast to our present day, where such levels of violence are unthinkable. Pinker also draws on modern crime statistics. These figures offer a more recent perspective, showing a clear decline in violence over the past several decades. From homicide rates to instances of domestic violence, the numbers demonstrate an undeniable trend towards a less violent society. But Pinker doesn't stop at the hard data. He also pulls from the fields of psychology and sociology to give context to these trends. He discusses how changes in societal norms, the development of empathy, and the rise of democratic governance have all played a role in this decline. He argues that, as we've become more interconnected and understanding of each other, we've also become less prone to violence. And it's not just about the numbers. Pinker also takes time to explore the underlying reasons for these shifts. He delves into the psychological and sociological factors that have influenced our behavior over time. He argues that our better angels, empathy, self-control, moral sense, and reason, have been winning the battle against our inner demons. So that's the essence of Pinker's argument. But what does this mean for us today? And what are the implications for our future? The decline of violence, as Pinker argues, is a testament to human progress. It's a beacon reminding us of how far we've come, and it's also a compass pointing towards where we can go. By understanding this decline, we can continue to work on reducing violence even more. It can guide our policies, our relationships, and our worldview. This is not just about numbers on a page, but about real lives saved, real suffering prevented. It's about the possibility of a world where the horrors of war, abuse, and brutality become increasingly rare. Pinker's argument also challenges our assumptions about human nature and society. It suggests that we are not inherently violent or evil, but capable of incredible compassion and cooperation. It implies that society can change and improve, that progress is not just a dream, but a reality. In the words of Pinker, we may be living in the most peaceful era in our species' history. This gives us hope for a future where violence continues to decline,